And I've seen a lot of groups like this where they go back and forth with debating
about the true image of the Lord.
About that.
Right.
So now I've seen you guys and I'm like, we just got off the bus. Anyway, I'm trying to figure it out. Because I know Yahawah.
Well, that's a made up name, but it's Yahawah for the Most High.
Yahawah?
Yahawah. There was no E's in Hebrew. So those guys in the land, those small hats, they created a language between German and Slavic.
Yiddish.
Modern day
Yiddish.
Modern day Hebrew. So they added their vowels. So there's no E's, J's, U's, and V's in the Hebrew. So they came up with Jehovah and Yahweh. Those are Yiddish terms. So it's Yahawah for the Most High.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I've been studying a lot of stuff all the way back to Egypt and the pyramids. You know what I mean? So, and I've been hearing different things and I'm trying to find the truth.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to convert to Muslim. But I've been in the penitentiary, the Nation of Islam. I've been in different, in Victorville, California. A brother from Florida invited me to the Nation of Islam video.
Okay.
So it was all of us just watching the video, and I was trying to gather information there.
Right.
So I'm trying to find out the truth.
The truth. Right.
The truth.
Okay.
That's all I want to know. You know what I mean? So
according to the Bible,
yeah,
that's not the image of the Lord. So you got this guy here. Let me move this for a second. Get this page, this picture. Where is it? So you got this guy here. He was the 6th Pope of Rome, named Alexander.
okay.
Right?
Something like Constantine and stuff like that.
Well, Constantine was a so-called Negro, but Constantine came after this. So this guy here named Rodrigo Borgia, the 6th Pope of Rome. There's a show called The Borgias on the Netflix. You can watch this by this guy, the first crime family known as. So he had Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci to paint his son to be the Messiah. That's what happened. His name is Caesar Borgia.
Oh, yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah. And they just sold this painting a couple years ago for 500 million.
I remember. I was in
450 million.
I was in Paris in the Louvre, saw the Mona Lisa, okay?
Right.
And so I'm really at a very important, pivotal point in myself.
Yeah, but it's the truth. It's the truth, right?
And so when I was born, I was baptized Catholic.
Okay.
Right? And then so they tried to carry it on with that image.
Right.
And so I'm like, I don't really know if this is right.
It's not. According to the law, according to the law, there's a law in Leviticus 13 about leprosy. Right? There's a law. Now you could be a clean leper, meaning he covers your whole body. Why would the Most High send his son on earth to look like that if it's a law about looking like that? According to the Bible, this would be the closest image. And to tell you that he got woolly hair in Revelation 1, right? He said the hair like wool, but it was white. So that's already one strike for this. Right? It says feet, as if they were fine brass burnt in the furnace. Right? So you look at a penny, that's the color that would be burnt in the furnace. Then Daniel said in Daniel 10, 5, and 6, but Daniel and John saw two different visions of the Lord. John, Revelator, in Revelation 1, he saw the Lord, he saw his feet, and he said he had a garment on, right? He said he was girded about the paps with a golden girdle. Daniel saw the detail. John said he had a garment on down to the foot. Daniel said the garment was green. John said he was girded about the paps with a golden girdle. Daniel said he went into the detail of the gold, that it was fine gold and Euphas. So Daniel gave him more detail, and he said his arms and his feet was in colors of polished brass.
Polished brass.
So I had this guy come up one time, he said, okay, so the Lord had to be, his feet had to be black, but his face had to be white. That don't make no according to what he said. But yeah, that picture is off. And they came up with this image in the 1300s. It's called Renaissance art. It's the so-called white man that created it, the elites, because the small hats, those that control the religion. They control Catholic, mean universal. They control everything on earth. They created this image. Well, it will go back to Rodrigo Borgia. But they carried this image. It was a painting that was made, and they pushed the four corners of the earth. That's not according to the Bible, though. But we can get the scriptures to prove it to you. You holding something?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Come, water. This is First Maccabees chapter 3 and 46.
Start at 45.
Come.
Yep. So during the time of the Greeks, this is when these three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, went down. When Alexander the Greek took power. He conquered all the known earth, right? Go ahead.
This is First Maccabees chapter 3 and 45. Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out.
This we got besieged. So after Alexander, he had 4 generals that raised up. 2 of his main generals were Ptolemy. He took over Egypt, so-called white man. And you had Seleucus. Go ahead.
The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold.
Alien meaning strangers. They wasn't Israelites. Go ahead.
The heathen had their habitation in that place.
That's what happened to us at Jerusalem. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, we was conquered by the Greeks. Now the original Greeks is Noah's youngest son, Japheth. But Alexander conquered them, and they started calling themselves the Greeks. Go ahead.
And joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased.
Jacob is our forefather. His name was changed to Israel after he wrestled the angels. And the Lord gave him the name Israel. Go ahead.
Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mashpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mashpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads.
So they was conquered by the heathen. Go ahead.
And rent their clothes and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
So the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images. Get Job 9:24.
Come there.
Go ahead.
It's Revelation 20 and verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth.
Right. It says Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. So when you go back to the time of the 1400s, when the so-called white man came out of the Caucasus Mountain, out of Europe, they was loose. Most people don't understand when they say Satan was loosed out of his prison. That word Satan means adversary. They ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. When you go back to Genesis 3, the Lord said he's going to put enmity between, he told the serpent, he put enmity between thy seed and her seed. Because the serpent got a seed, he was talking to a nation, he was talking to the Israelites and the Edomites. Those who control the earth right now, the so-called white man. We used to control the earth. The Lord put us on the bottom. So the Lord was telling the serpent, because he deceived Eve, he's going to put enmity between his seed and her seed, which is nation. That's what go back to. You know about Esau and Jacob?
Yeah.
Okay, Esau is the father of the so-called white people. Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. So read this again.
It says, Revelation 20 and 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
So after 1,000 years, we had the Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire went down, right? But the Eastern Roman Empire went down. Then Negroes took over. So for 1,000 years, you had, they called it the time of the Moors, right? The Byzantine Empire.
Is that more science?
No, it's history.
Okay.
It's history.
I was wondering where that came from. I know
Right.
more science.
They don't talk about it in school. They call it, but what the so-called white man labeled it as Middle Ages, Dark Ages. But it's called then they call it the time of the Moors. But this is when Negroes ruled Portugal, Spain, Europe, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. All that was ruled by Negroes for 1,000 years. So this was the time, get me Job 30. This is the time when they pushed the so-called white man, which is the Edomites, into the Caucasus Mountain, over there in Europe. Read this.
Job 30 and 1.
Yep.
But now they that are younger than I have me in derision,
Right.
whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Go ahead.
Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they are solitary,
Right.
fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste.
The wilderness, Europe is like a bottomless pit. Don't nothing really grow there. So it's like a wilderness. Go ahead.
who cut up mallows by the
It
bushes,
said who cut up mallows by the bushes. You know, people sit around the fire and eat s'mores. The so-called white man came up with that. That's a mallow root. That's what they ate. Go ahead.
and juniper roots for their meat.
Right?
They were driven forth from among
They
men.
were driven forth from among men. Go ahead.
They cried after them as a thief. They
ahead.
cried after them as after a thief.
Yep.
To dwell in the cities of the valleys,
To dwell in what?
in the cliffs
In the cliffs.
of the valleys,
In the cliffs of the valleys and what?
in caves of the earth,
In the caves of the earth. Go ahead.
and in the rocks.
And in the rocks.
Among the bushes they brayed.
Right. They didn't have a language. There's a show called, what's it called? Quest for Fire. They didn't have a language. It's a movie called Quest for Fire. It said, read that line again.
Among the bushes they brayed.
They sounded like
donkeys.
Horses, mules. They didn't have a language. Go ahead.
Under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools,
Yep.
yea, children of basement. They were viler than the earth.
It said they dwelt in the cliffs of the valley, in the caves of the earth. The word Caucasian literally means cave dweller. If you look at the word Caucasian. So this is where they came from. So we're giving you what's going on. So go back to the Revelation. Hold on. Revelation 20 again.
Revelation 20 and 7.
So when they came out the cave, the Lord gave them dumbness to take back over the earth. Read this.
And when the 1,000 years are expired,
Right?
Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
Yeah, that's talking about the Caucasus Mountains, Europe. Satan just means the word Satan means to be adversary. The spiritual demon Satan got a physical seed on earth. That's why I tell you Ephesians 6. We're dealing with spiritual wickedness in high places. The rulers of darkness of this world. That's in Ephesians 6. Go ahead.
And shall go out to deceive the nations,
Right.
which are in the four quarters of the earth.
And they deceive the nations with this image. This is called iconoclasm. Renaissance art. Iconoclasm means the whitewash. Because all the images that we let right now, that's why Putin came out recently. We pulled out the vault, we pulled the images of the Messiah out the vault. But they got all the history locked up over there in the Vatican. But Putin got something too, because in Russia, they still got black icons, Negro icons in Russia. What the so white man did was chip the nose off. So go back, get the other one I wanted.
Job 9,
Read this.
Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
The Lord gave them the earth. When you look up the wicked, and Malachi tells the wicked is the Edomites, the nation of Edom. Go ahead.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
It said the Lord, the earth given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges. Go ahead.
If not, where and who is he?
So who are the judges of the earth? When you think about the real judges of the earth, the planet, who are the judges?
I would have to say the judges of the earth.
Right, of the earth.
Of the earth.
Right.
I don't think there are any judges.
It's the Most High and His Son. First off.
Right.
Read this again.
Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
Right.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
In the Vatican, they got in the 16th
I was
chapter
going
of
to say the
right?
Vatican. I was going to say
They got the hand of God taking the hand of Adam, right? The finger of God, and they so-called white people.
Right.
That was painted by Michelangelo.
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci. They did all this.
Right.
Go ahead. And it said what?
If not,
If
where?
not, go ahead.
Where and who is he?
So if the so-called white man didn't do this, it said, where and who is he? There's no Chinese Jesus. There's not a Japanese Jesus. Right? There's not an Iranian Jesus. Ain't no Pakistani, Ishmael, Arab Jesus. So it said, if the so-called white man didn't do this, where and who is he that did it?
Like you said, the Michelangelo's and all
Yeah.
that time
Yeah,
put this picture out.
yeah. It's
and
facts, man.
and
It's,
let it go.
right.
So, what would be the best doctrine or religion, whatever, to follow and put your heart in?
So the Lord created so-called Negro
Follow that
Latino,
you know.
West Indian Haitian, 12 tribes of Israel. The Lord made us spiritual. He gave us laws, statutes, and commandments to follow. So this is my skin color. The Lord scattered our people, but spoke on the earth because we disobeyed the Lord. Go back to the time of Deuteronomy. So we're gonna come back looking like these are all the 18 nations on earth. Right, right. So these are all 18 nations the Lord created. The Lord scattered 12 tribes of Israel amongst all these nations. So we're gonna come back looking like everybody. Right? So the Lord gave us His law, statutes, and commandments, the Israelites. Everybody from 2 on down, they can do whatever they want to do. The Lord told us not to eat pork.
Yeah, see some bullshit.
So we got
What
we got a
I'm
custom
hearing
and
from you
history.
is
We got a lineage.
believe the Bible, but don't put this as your image of
No.
worship.
Right. That's not the image
People
of the
say
Lord.
hallelujah, they're singing in the church and doing all that.
That's all. It's called plantation Christianity. That was beaten to us on the plantation. One of the first slave ships was called the Good Ship Jesus that brought us over here. That's all. That was created.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Everything about religion in this time, in the life we in now, the so-called white man pushes. He controls it. It was control. It was
Okay,
control
so
our
then
people.
what about the Jews? Where do they come?
The Jews is the real tribe of Judah. Them are not the Jews over there. And the Lord said,
With the thing right here,
that's a yarmulke.
or the curly hair and
Right.
the eyes.
Now, it's some of our people mingled among them, but those that control that, the Lord said, we ain't gonna go back to the land of Israel until the Messiah returns. The Israelites, the Lord was gonna scatter them to the four corners of the earth. And they was gonna be gathered in the last days, and they won't go to that land until the Messiah take them back. So who's in the land over there saying that? And then they say that they Israelite, right? They say they Jewish. Ish means pertaining to or trying to be like. The real, and it's
That's
only
the
one
only
tribe.
time they ain't lying.
That's the Jews. Now collectively, when you read in the book of Ezra, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, in the time of the Babylonian Empire, was known as the Jews. But the Jew is only one tribe, the tribe of Judah, which tribe the Messiah come from. That's why they say they from. That's why they say they the Jews, because they want to be from the tribe the Messiah come from.
Okay,
But-
so is it the 12 tribes of Israel, or
Right.
is it the 12 tribes of Judah?
No, the 12 tribes of Israel.
It's Israel?
Right. Our
And
forefather
that's
Jacob.
Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simon.
Simeon, the
Simeon.
Dominican.
What's the next one?
Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Rican.
Well, you got a Z, Z,
That's Zebulon.
Zebulon.
Right.
What's Zebulon?
You see it on the side, say Guatemalans, Panamanians.
Panamanians.
These are the names that we would call. These are the names that we would call when we was conquered by the so-called white man. Listen to this. So you got Judah conquered, right, when they came to the island of Africa, right? You got Benjamin, that was in the West Indies. What do they speak? They was conquered by the British. The Levites, the so-called Haitians, they were conquered by the French.
French.
That's what they speak, right? From Simeon on down to Issachar, the conquered by the conquistadors of the Spaniards. So they speak Spanish. Ish. So they made them follow. We all was conquered by the so-called white man. Different, they all Edomites, but they come from different tribes. You got the French Edomites, the British Edomites, you got the conquistadors and the Spaniards. They all so-called white people. But we was conquered by all 12 tribes. These are the names in the Bible. These are the names that they gave us. He's a turning point, but the Lord said because we sinned against him, we was going to be called proverbs and bywords. Speak. These are all the names of 12 tribes of Israel. Speaks, spooks, porch monkeys, wetbacks, and savages. What they call the Indians? Savages. What they call the so-called Issachar, the Mexicans? Wetbacks. These are proverbs and bywords. The Lord said they was going to call them for. That whole something?
This is Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
They're talking about the elite. Give me Ephesians 6. Read 11. So we dealing with those that control all the resources. They control the money, they control the food, everything. That's why I read Job 9:24 said the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. They control everything. They control what religion is. They control the curriculum. They control everything.
Verse 2, and they covered fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man and his heritage.
That's what they did. They took over our land by the Balfour Declaration in 1948. Now they saying that they us. But the Lord said they was going to do that because they fulfilled the
Man,
prophecy.
you know something.
They fulfilled the prophecy. When you read Ezekiel 36,
Wow.
it said that the heathen, the residue of the heathen, was going to go into that land and say it's theirs. Yeah. We don't supposed to go to the 12 tribes of Israel and going back to the land of Israel until the Messiah returns. But yeah, our religion is we Hebrew Israelites.
Okay. That's
12 tribes of Israel.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
I live in Mount Dora. And over there, there's a guy
I
that
live in Tiberias.
I talked to somebody, and they're got the that's why I say Yahweh.
Okay.
The guy that I know who usually works has Yahweh on his shirt.
Right.
So I was talking to him one night, and I'm like, Yahweh. I'm okay. I heard about this, right? Yahweh.
Right.
Yahshua.
Right. Those are the Yiddish terms.
The house of Yahweh. And all this stuff.
Right. Right.
In Abilene, Texas, they had something that was Yahweh, the house of Yahweh.
Yeah.
I was told, read this, study this, not that. So I got a little bit right, and now I'm trying to get all the way right.
Right.
So basically, you wouldn't say I need to convert to Muslim.
No. No. No.
That's where I was ready to go. Like
No.
The other day, a guy said, "Come with me. I'm going down to where the Muslims are to give you a kufi, a rug, and all this. You know, you can be."
If you got access to YouTube, you can watch us on YouTube, and you can get the truth like that. You can learn and get your
Okay,
Bible.
how do I do that? Because I don't have my phone right now, so I can't scan it.
I
I
got
try to
some paper.
stay off the
Got
grid
paper,
and all that.
Write it down for me on paper. Nah, I
I
have
might even have something to write it down. It's at the library.
I got a pen.
Look.
Okay.
What do I do?
That one open up. Go ahead. All right, you go.
Shalom.
Shalom.